So, as was mentioned a little earlier, I am Gloria Francesca Mangual, and I am the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coordinator for the Open Choice Program. And with us today is Christina Baldwin and Arnaldo Perez from Hartford Youth Services, and they will be discussing chronic absenteeism, truancy, with a little bit of focus on ECF involvement. And without further ado, I am going to turn it over to whichever speaker is going to begin first.
Thank you all for asking. There's a ticking noise in the background for everyone can
Oh, okay. I have a webinar that's starting right now. Okay, cool. Thank you.
So thank you everyone for taking the time out this morning to meet with us today. Referral form and the process for successfully submitting the truancy referral to the Hartford Youth Service Bureau. So with that, we will go over the referral form itself, what some of the impediments are to successfully processing referral as we've seen them come in, and we will also go over the process and workflow guide. I do apologize that I can't be on screen this morning. Unfortunately, I have an issue with my Zoom application where when I have my camera on, my Zoom app freezes and it doesn't allow me to use the buttons. We are looking to circumvent that, so hopefully that'll be resolved shortly, but I do apologize for not being able to screen this morning. For whomever is the host, if you can simply allow me share screen access.
Oh, that's already been set up. You have access.
Awesome. So I'll first have Christina with a brief overview of the Hartford Youth Service Bureau, some additional services available. I know there was some stated interest in that, and then we'll go right into the referral form process.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Arnaldo. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm not sure. Okay, perfect. You know, sometimes when my kids are online for school, which should be in another couple minutes, my internet starts acting funny. So, you know, just let me know if you can't hear me at all. So I'm Christina Baldwin. I am the Assistant Director at the City of Hartford Department of Families, Children, Youth, and Recreation. So in our Youth Services Division, we are actually considered Hartford's Youth Service Bureau. As you may or may not know, all of the cities and towns in Connecticut have youth service bureaus. And our particular department at the City of Hartford is Hartford's Youth Service Bureau. So back in, officially back in 2018, the state of Connecticut passed an act, Public Act 16-147 of the Connecticut General Statutes, which stated that as of that time, the previous truancy and family with service needs referrals that used to go over to CSSD, to the courts, would now not, that wouldn't be happening anymore. So Connecticut legislature decided that behavioral issues such as truancy and, you know, like defiance of school rules, that those were no longer to be punishable through the court system, that they felt it was better action for those types of incidences with those students to be dealt with on the community level. So at that time, they have now redirected all of those referrals to come over to the youth service bureaus. So by virtue of that, we are now the entity that accepts all truancy referrals and family with service needs referrals that used to go over to the court system. So we began our journey together on the onset of figuring out that we knew that these referrals would be now coming to us from the courts. So Hartford has, you know, unfortunately, the highest number of truant youth in the state, and our numbers are into the thousands. So we, back then, a few years ago, we formed a truancy, a task force team, and that consisted of us at the city, Hartford Public Schools, CREC, Our partners at DCF, which is not the same entity as where we work, which is DFCYR, little bit confusing there. And I know that's confusing for some families. So again, DCF is with the state. We're Department of Families, Children, Youth, and Recreation, which is with the city. And then our partners at the Village, we had our partners at Center for Children's Advocacy. And so we formed this task force to try to get ahead of this issue that we knew that we were facing with truancy. So Arnaldo is going to go through how to do a proper truancy referral to us, because we are accepting and opening, we constantly accept them. So now that is state law that we accept them. However, the ones that we get don't always come back complete. And we do have to follow certain state guidelines in order to be able to accept those referrals. So Arnaldo is going to take the time and go through that piece with you. And I want to also stress that each individual town has a youth service bureau that you can refer the student to their town of residence. So we, have all of the youth that go to Hartford Public Schools and any CREC magnet schools and any CREC open choice schools, as well as any independent schools, charter schools, religious schools. Any youth that is a Hartford resident can be referred to us. So with that being said, I know Arnaldo said that some had questions about additional services that we provide for young people in the city of Hartford. So our youth service bureau is actually unique, one of, if not the only one in the state of Connecticut, where our team doesn't actually do the direct services for the young people. What we do is we support our community-based organizations, we support our partners in the work that they do when they are directly serving our youth and families. We are a convener. We help to form policy and procedure. We strategically develop programs and systems for the city of Hartford, and we are also a funder of community-based organizations. So that's our role there. We have online on hartfordct.gov, if you go under our Department of Families, Children, Youth, and Recreation, we have a very extensive family resource directory, which we are actually in the process of updating right now. And that lists a plethora of all of the organizations in the city of Hartford that serve youth and their families. You can sort it out by category. And, for more specific information, we do have partnerships with key organizations that we fund in the city, specific to our main focus areas, which are under youth justice and workforce development. So some of you all may be familiar with the Compass Peace Builders. We fund that program. We also provide funding to our piece of the pie through the reentry program, and to Artist Collective. We currently provide funding to them. We also support the YMCA in their Youth Ambassador program. And we are the funder for the Summer Youth Employment Learning Program. So the program that is administered through Capital Workforce Partners. We are the funders for that, and we manage that program. So I won't go into detail because there's a lot that we do, but our website lists out under our youth services division our focus areas of youth justice and workforce development. And then again, our family resource directory is online as well. So I welcome you all to visit that. And I will actually put my name and my contact information in the chat box. So if you all have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to Arnaldo, but you can also reach out to me at any time as well. We are here. We're happy to be partners with you in this work. And again, thank you all for everything that you do. And I will turn it back over to Arnaldo.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that intro, Christina. So yeah, I know that was a lot of information. And again, any student who resides in Hartford can be referred to the Hartford Youth Service Bureau Guide. As you all service many students from different communities, there are youth service bureaus within each town that students should be referred to. So that would be, again, based on their town of residence. So what I have up here now is the Youth Service Bureau referral form. Some of you may be familiar with this. We have received several referrals year to date. And I can briefly state that roughly, let's see, we've had roughly a little less than half of the referrals submitted have been successfully processed for service follow-up. And that is in large part due to the fact that the parent's signature tends to be missing from these forms. So we just really want to stress the fact that here on the second page, I'll just jump there very quickly and go back. On the second page, we do require that there is an actual physical signature from the parent. Some forms have come in with a quote unquote electronic signature in which the parent's name was typed both in the signed section and the printed section. Unfortunately, we do require that physical signature to take place there. So whenever possible, I know it's pretty difficult, especially in today's climate with the pandemic and having people meet face to face. I know that this was a challenge even before the pandemic, getting parents to either come in or conducting a home visit to obtain that signature. But that's been the largest impediment for processing many of the referrals that we have received. The other hurdle that many people have had in successfully completing a form is conducting these 5 outreach steps that we have listed here on the first page, which are required by state law under Connecticut general statutes. These 5 items must be completed prior to submitting a referral. We have a question in the chat that says, can parents sign electronically? They actually write their name, but it is completed virtually. So we've had some follow-up questions with folks from the states, and they are requiring an actual physical signature on the form. So again, I know that can be a challenge. So that can take place with either having the parent come in to the school. I know that because of certain protocols, you know, having outside visitors can be an issue. So perhaps they can meet in the main office or at the front entrance simply to provide that signature. Other entities have conducted just very brief home visits simply to obtain the signature. One of the things to take note is that the very first item listed here is that a meeting was held with the parent or guardian of the student who is truant, and appropriate school personnel reviewed and evaluated the reasons for the student being truant. So in completing that very first outreach effort, that would be a prime opportunity to have the parent sign off on this youth service referral form. So again, a meeting held with the parent is actually required as well as one of the precursor items to the referral process.
And Ronaldo, I'm sorry, I just want to jump in really quickly and just reiterate what you said. We are working, we do understand that that is, you know, a huge issue. It's an issue for everyone across the state. We are actively working with the state to try to come up with a couple of resolutions to that. But as of right now, we do require that we have like an actual physical signature from the parent. That's a state requirement.
Thank you for that, Christina. We have another question in the chat. We're requesting the link to the Hartford Youth Service form. So we can provide that. We can provide that via email electronically. I will send that to the folks who provided us the information. So I will provide that to Celia No and some of our other partners within CREC who can then disseminate that to you all. I will also include the email that needs to be used for submitting referrals. You can also utilize that. Yep. We have someone jumping in. Someone has a question.
Kelly Whittam. Hi, how are you?
I think someone's just not muted, Arnaldo.
Yeah, could
Yes.
could everybody mute unless, or are you trying to ask a question?
Mute my webinar here that I'm on. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
So another
Yes, I know that her
Kelly Whitman, you are not on mute.
Find a release for us to speak, and just kind of wanted to check in with you as her outside provider, just to see how we can kind of work in tandem. And
I wonder if
Host can
somebody
mute
who's
her.
running, yeah, can the
recommendations that
host
you
mute
might
her?
have.
The host needs to mute.
I'm looking for Kelly Whitman. I'm not finding her. I'm scrolling.
Okay, I think we're good. So the question was asked, meetings with parents are all virtual this year, so how to get the signature? And so again, we do realize that that is a challenge. We are looking at other alternatives for providing the actual physical signature. Hopefully we can have that resolved with some more innovative approaches. Again, it does, unfortunately, right as it stands now, it does require a physical signature. Someone else asked, what if you have attempted several times and no parents have followed through for the meeting with the parents and can't get the parent signature? My understanding is that, again, a meeting does need to take place with the parent. So we do realize that these are challenges to completing the outreach efforts as well as submitting a referral. Okay. All right, thank you. So with that, so the additional outreach efforts that need to be implemented are that child find protocols are implemented. Efforts are made to engage and coordinate services and supports with community agencies. So again, this third step could also be conducted in tandem when meeting with the parent, that you attempt to connect the youth with community agencies to assist with any truancy issues. In large part, we do see a lot of referrals that come in with folks who seemingly seem to forget to check off this fourth item. And this fourth item is typically done, you know, on a yearly basis. So this item is kind of, we don't know if people are simply forgetting to check off this item, but you know, for the most part, schools are generally informing parents at the beginning of the year, whether that be through some written correspondence or other form or direct contact. So, and the last attempt is that school made reasonable efforts to notify the parent guardian by telephone and by mail whenever the student failed to report to school. So we know that many school systems have automated systems in which parents are immediately notified when the school is absent through either Power School or some other similar mechanism. Another question in the chat box, someone asked how are the partnerships formed? So the partnerships are formed in large part with the Hartford Youth Service Bureau, with our community-based organizations, so entities that were already in existence and entities seeking to serve youth within the city of Hartford have the opportunity to connect with Hartford Youth Service Bureau for additional supports. We also put out RFPs, requests for proposals, and contracts to engage and better support our community-based organizations. So that's typically how many of them are connected with the Hartford Youth Service Bureau, either through that mechanism or through some of the other platforms in which we meet for collaborative efforts, such as the Hartford Youth Opportunity Coalition, and some other entities as well. So we do contract out with other agencies, and we've established several collaborative platforms for community-based organizations to connect with us and to better coordinate services. So does anyone have any questions before we move on? Again, you can feel free to write them in the chat box. Any questions on the referral form? We do also require that the form be completed in full. So we understand that not every student will have had a PPT and or a 504 conducted. For those, you can simply put in NA. For these other items, we do request that folks complete the rest of the application in full, including ethnicity, special education status, and so on. So with the first effort, again, being that a meeting has to be held with the parent, if a PPT and or 504 was not conducted with the parent, there is space on the second page here where you can list any other additional meetings. So again, we do need evidence of a meeting with the parent having taken place. If that is not a PPT or 504, we do request that you put the date of the meeting with the parent and a brief description of any other meetings you may have had with the parent. Additional information can be attached or sent in with the referral. So if you would like to submit an attendance record or any other forms or documentation, supporting documentations with the referral, we do highly encourage that be submitted as well, because that will aid the village in conducting service follow-up. So referrals that are successfully completed and processed for service follow-up are then ushered over to the village for children and families so that they can reach out to the families and conduct those service follow-ups with them. We'd also like to share with you the Hartford Truancy workflow. This process, let's say, is actually applicable in most scenarios with the local service bureau of the student's town of origin. So the first step here is that the student is initially identified as truant. So then if it is due to educational neglect, that would warrant a DCF 136 referral. Generally, and this was recently reaffirmed, the general stance across the board is that if a student in grades pre-K through 5th grade are being identified as truant, that would warrant a DCF 136 referral, because if a youth in pre-K through 5th grade is not attending schools, chances are more than likely that is due to some issue with the parent and not so much the child because of the age of the child. Now, students in grades 6 through 8 can go either way, and that would be on a case-by-case scenario. So for students in grades 6 through 8, if you feel that the issue resides more with the parent, then that would warrant a 136. If the circumstances, or if in your evaluation you feel that the parent is trying their hardest and earnestly doing their best to get the youth to attend school, and the youth is being oppositional and or defiant, then that would warrant a truancy referral to the local youth service bureau. Students in grades 9 through 12 would warrant a truancy referral to the youth service bureau. So again, pre-K through 5th grade is generally automatically going to be a DCF 136. Students in grades 6 through 8 can go either way. They can either be a DCF 136 or a truancy referral to the Youth Service Bureau, and students in grades 9 through 12 would warrant a truancy referral. So the next instance that we see is if the cause is medical, then you would follow 504 guidelines. If the student is identified as a youth with special education needs, you would follow the IDEA, SPED, and PPT guidelines. And if the issue seems to be predominantly behavioral, you will follow the SRBI and SAT guidelines. So in these three instances, that would then take you on to the next step, where a student is considered truant, habitually truant, and or school defiant. If through your evaluation the answer is no, then you would continue to monitor progress and follow attendance policies and procedures. If the student is deemed as being truant and or defiant and is also in need of additional interventions, then you would complete the referral. So again, we must obtain a parent release form with signature, and you would send the referral and parent release form to the City of Hartford's Department for Families, Children, Youth, and Recreation, which is again our local youth service bureau. That would also be the case for the local youth service bureau for the town in which the student resides. At that point, once we receive the referral, we will review it for its full completion. Again, the largest impediments to that completion followed by parent signature, are completing these 5 outreach efforts here, which are required by Connecticut general statutes. Once the referral is considered successfully completed and accurately completed, we would then send the referral over to the village for service follow-up.
Arnaldo? Sorry,
Yep,
I'm gonna-
I was just reading a question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. I'll just jump in real quick also. For the piece where we send it over to the village, I want to stress that we have a very uniquely identified contractual relationship with the village for families and children to do specifically this type of work. So if you work with the village already, or you have a student that is already working with the village, this is a different additional layer to the work that they do. They also run our juvenile review board, which is closely tied to this. The state statutes are very much intertwined. And so it's a different level of service specifically designed for this. And that is a partnership that we have, a contractual relationship that we have with the village to serve youth. Because I know that question comes up, and sometimes youth will already be connected to someone at the village, but this is our internal process when we receive the application. So I just wanted to mention that. Oops, Arnaldo, I think you're on mute if you're talking. Sorry.
And you have another question in the chat.
It was, yeah, so I was simply stating that the village will reach out to the families directly. They do have interpreters available. So in the instance in which, if the family or the parent is predominantly Spanish speaking, they will have an interpreter assist with that contact. And the village will reach out and explore any additional needs of the student that they can then conduct service follow-up and referrals with, and will work with the parent to successfully make those referrals for service follow-ups to better assist the parent.
For the question in the chat, we do accept referrals for any age student, as long as they are in school, as it pertains to this particular program. Truancy and or defiance of school rules, we accept high school students all the way up through they are in school. So this particular training is just for truancy. It's not for the family with service needs portion. I don't believe, Arnaldo, that we're doing that portion in this particular training, correct?
No, we are not.
Okay, so I did just want to mention too that we also accept the family with service needs referrals. That's also part of this particular law. And that is a referral that does not need to come from the school. That can come directly from the parent. It doesn't have to do with the truancy or school behavior piece. That has to do with, like if they're running away from home, or if they're out of beyond control within the home. So those referrals can come directly from a parent and or directly from the police department to us. So if you're finding that your parents are having issues with their child, but their child doesn't meet this criteria for truancy, they can also refer themselves directly to us. And in that instance, we serve youth up through age 24. So we serve that. I know it's broad age, but actually in our world, that's considered a youth. So a parent can directly refer a youth up through 24, right before they turn 25 to us. But for your purposes, for truancy, we will accept them for any young person that is enrolled in school.
Yes, thank you. And we do also want to stress the fact that the family with service needs referral, again, that is going to come to the Hartford Youth Service Bureau. That would go to the same email address provided in the chat, which was youth, YOUTH, at hartford.gov. So that is where the referral form should be sent in, included again in the chat, so it could be the most recent message. So referrals should be sent to youth at hartford.gov. as well as the family with service needs referrals, which can be submitted directly by the parent. And we also want to stress the fact that in the past, family with service needs were implemented through DCF, and so it was considered DCF voluntary services. So many parents and many families might be reluctant to complete a family with service needs because they still have the impression that that would gain DCF involvement, albeit voluntary. And so many parents and families are skeptical of completing the referral form because they don't want to have DCF involvement. So again, if you are getting a parent to complete a family with service needs form, you really want to stress to them that that is no longer implemented under DCF, that is conducted through the local youth service bureau. So that's very important to stress with families because many families have concerns over stigmas and other issues related to that. Okay, so that is pretty much the overview of the Hartford Truancy workflow. Again, this is still applicable to and local youth service bureaus. You would simply be sending the referral to the student's town of residence. Are there any questions on what was covered thus far before we go on to the other pieces? Okay. So I just wanted to very briefly touch on some of the background information, and all of this will be provided to the meeting organizers who can then disseminate it to the rest of the groups. So someone stated in the chat box, I looked on the website link and saw the family with service needs form, but not the truancy form. So again, we will send out the truancy form electronically. The family with service needs form can be found on the website link. We can look into possibly, Christina, we can look into possibly having that form added to our website as well, right? The truancy form?
Yeah, yes, definitely. We'll get it up there for you guys.
But in any event, we will make sure to send those documents, all of the documents for the truancy referral, along with the referral guide, which will be very helpful. So we do encourage folks to read through the referral guide. It's fairly brief, only 8 pages. That will provide some additional information. I'll provide a brief overview of some of the content here, but again, you know, there's a wealth of information contained in those 8 pages. So certainly look through the referral guide. We will also provide you with the truancy brochure that can be provided to parents, which is available in both English and Spanish. Are there any questions thus far?
I'm sorry, Arnaldo, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to clarify. Now when thinking about it, we're actually not going to be putting the referral forms directly on our website for truancy because those forms do need to come directly from the school. And since we kind of do our website from a client-based perspective, we don't want families to get confused in thinking that they can fill out a truancy referral form. I apologize. That's why those are not on our website. But again, we will email them to you directly. All of the superintendents have received them already, but we will send them out so that you all get them directly. Those schools specifically require both the parent and school authorization, and that's the reason why we don't have them on the website. But the family with service needs are available on our public website. I hope that's clear. If there are any questions, please let me know. I just wanted to clarify that.
Wonderful, thank you. Let me take a look at the chat. So schools would obtain the referral form by the means in which we're going to provide it to you all today, which would be electronically. So we do realize that that can be an encumbrance in certain instances, but everyone in today's meeting will be provided the truancy referral form electronically, and we encourage you to disseminate that throughout your schools and with your colleagues and associates.
You can also email us at that email as well, and we can get that form over to you. But again, all school administrators should have that. It was sent actually a couple years ago. So, you know, you can always check with your administrator, but please reach out to us. We'll send it to you and you can email us as well.
Yes, and again, that email is youth@hartford.gov. In instances where you have another youth that resides in another town that would be serviced by that local youth service bureau, you would ideally reach out to that local service bureau directly to also obtain a truancy referral.
And there was another, yes, truancy referral. Yep. So there's another question about all open choice schools. Yes, all schools receive this through the State Department of Education. To all of the school districts received this form back in 2018. So that's the answer to that. Truancy referral on, on government portal. Yes, and also on Connecticut Youth Services Association portal, the truancy referral form. Just remember that they are town and city specific. And the information, you know, has to go to the town of the child of residence. So perfect. Thank you.
And thank you to Kay Rodriguez for including the link. So for those of you who would like the ct.gov link, it is included in the chat box.
And that one is just a downloadable. It's not the fillable PDF. The fillable one is the one that we'll be sending to you. So the one on the government SDE website is just a downloadable PDF.
Correct. So just a brief overview. So the state of Connecticut's Board of Education defines truancy as a student truant has had 4 unexcused absences in a month, period of time, not specific months named in a calendar. So any 30-day period, or 10 unexcused absences in a school year. Habitually truant is defined as a student aged 5 to 18 inclusive who is enrolled in a public or private school and has 20 unexcused absences within a school year. And a student is defined as defiant when they have been continuously and overtly defiant of school rules. So whenever possible, school-based coordination and parent engagement should be conducted prior to submitting a referral to us. And again, that is one of the precursors and one of the outreach efforts required by the Connecticut General Statutes in order to then refer a student for service follow-ups through the Youth Service Bureau. We do ask that you include the school name. So we have had a few referrals that have come in without the school name, which can pose certain issues, specifically if additional information is needed. We do reach back out. So whenever a form is submitted to us that isn't successfully completed, we do provide a response listing exactly what is missing from that referral form in order for it to be successfully completed. So folks will be informed directly. Whoever made the referral will be informed directly of what information is missing, but we still need the name of the school for any additional information gathering purposes, as well as for our record keeping and things of that nature. So it is important for us to monitor and keep track of what schools the referrals are coming from. Again, we will reach back out to the person that made the referral when additional information is needed. But we have seen some referrals come in where folks simply forget to put in either the name of the school or the school or the ID generated by the local district school system.
Arnaldo, I thank you. I also want to mention that this is the same exact, well, not exact, but this is the same process that was required before. So if you were to send a truancy referral over to the court system, they required all of this same information before. The only difference was that there was sort of that loophole where they didn't require the parent's signature on it. Unfortunately, you know, we, again, on the state level, youth service bureaus have been deemed that that's required for us, I think because of, you know, certain HIPAA and FERPA laws. But in terms of all of the information that you're required to obtain from the parent and all of the outreach efforts that you need to do prior to submitting the referral to us, none of that has changed. Those were all of the same requirements that were in place prior to this coming over to the youth service bureaus. And same with DCF too. It's my understanding also that the DCF ed neglect pieces, they haven't changed. All of those requirements are still the same. And I think someone asked another question about out of district therapeutic schools. Yeah, so we're not working for the Department of Education, but it was our understanding that all school districts were notified of this. In fact, we received copies of those letters for our particular school districts. However, part of it is also the information sharing, right? That's why we have folks like Celia and Catherine Nazario from CREC that sit on our truancy task force, so that we are making sure that we are directly giving the information to the districts. And that's why we're excited to be able to come out and to do trainings like this so that you all know directly. But in the true spirit of partnership, which is what our department really thrives on, we ask that you help to share the words with your colleagues as well that may not know about it at this point for whatever reason.
Yes, thank you, Christina. So again, when going through the process, and we do understand that meetings with parents maybe are typically being held virtually because of today's circumstances. So when conducting that meeting with the parent, again, parents should be assisted in making connections with community providers. The student and parents should be given an opportunity to engage with providers in order to determine if the intervention has a positive impact on school attendance, and the school should document all of those efforts, and that would help satisfy that first outreach effort that needs to be checked off on the first page of the referral, which would by virtue automatically clear out the second outreach effort, which is efforts were made to engage and coordinate services and supports with community agencies. The fourth item is that every year parents are notified in writing about the obligations under the Connecticut general statutes for them to ensure that their youth are attending schools. And finally, the last outreach effort again is that school personnel made reasonable efforts to notify the parent. And you can include any of that documentation. It is not required, but it is helpful if we know what community organizations, well, you do have to list which community organizations have been connected on page 2. But if you can also provide additional documentation, again, that would just further assist the service follow-up. And that is in large part due to, we don't want to try to repeat the same efforts or circumstances which weren't helpful in the past. So, that would assist the service follow-up assist the service follow-up team to try additional solutions that may not have been attempted already. Are there any questions on what's been covered thus far? Okay. So that in large part covers, the truancy referral process. Another question in the chat is, what if a school out of district therapeutic school who services Hartford students says they had no idea about this, and if it comes within anyone's peripheral here in the chat today, then, simply share that information with your colleagues and associates. it should be readily communicated that schools can reach out to the Town of Residence Youth Service Bureau. So that should be clearly communicated to all school personnel, social workers, and additional administrators that you can reach out to your local youth service bureau for additional supports and resources when a student is deemed habitually truant and or defiant.
And also, if they had made a referral to the court system, they would have kicked it back to them. So, and it's okay. Like if they didn't know about it, then you know, nothing's closed off. So we're constantly accepting referrals. So definitely, you know, have them send the referral over to us if it qualifies. So you know, no worries on that. We're be doing it from here on out. So please just send them on over if you have them. No problem.
Oh, thank you, Denise. So yeah, we're glad we can be helpful, and we are available to provide this presentation to any schools, administrators, and additional personnel. So if you have colleagues and associates working within other systems who would be interested in receiving this information, they can reach out to me and or the youth@hartford.gov website. I mean, the youth@hartford.gov email, if they would like us to connect with them and conduct a similar presentation for their school system. So we are available to conduct this presentation and provide this information to any school personnel and or entities wishing to have better clarity on this process. So with that, are there any closing thoughts, questions, concerns that folks would like to share while we still have a few minutes available? We can enter a Q&A. Okay. If not, that pretty much covers the information we were seeking to provide today. I will share that we do not provide training specific to truancy prevention efforts and things of that nature. We do have information available. So again, that information will be provided to those who helped us coordinate the presentation today. There are several options and there are several entities that you can reach out to if you would like to have a training specific on truancy prevention efforts and techniques. So we do not provide that ourselves. We have received a couple requests in the past, and we've provided the information for those folks to follow up if you would like to have a training specific on conducting truancy prevention efforts.
Thank you, Arnaldo. And I just wanted to say again, thank you all so much. Please feel free to reach out to us with any additional questions. We know that, you know, it's a change in how things are done, but we truly are partners in this work together. We couldn't do anything that we do without all of the hard work that you all do. So please consider us as partners in this work. Reach out to us with any questions at all. Please share the information, again, as Arnaldo said, with any of your colleagues that may need it. And, you know, we know that this issue is huge for all of us, but in working together, you know, we're confident that we can help to get our young people back re-engaged in school, the ones that need it the most. So thank you so much. And please also know that we're working very diligently on our end, the city of Hartford with the state, to try to get around some of these issues. So we know that they're issues for everyone across the state. And we are definitely working really hard on the state. And, you know, they've actually got like their attorneys and things looking at some of these signature type of issues. So hopefully we'll get some more movement on that. But in the meantime, you know, we're definitely here to support in any way that we can. So thank you again.
Thank you much, Christina and Arnaldo. I would just like to point out that we're having a little bit of a glitch with the software program where we collected the names of people who registered. So if you could go through your the chat box and get the address, the email address that Arnaldo shared so you could contact them directly if you'd like the form. That would be helpful just in case we hit another snag with our own software over here. And just a reminder, this has been recorded. So if any of you want to share this with coworkers, we will be sending out the recording to our list. And if you do not receive it, just email us and we will get it out to you so that you can share it with your peers. Again, thank you for attending. And thank you, Arnaldo and Christina and everybody who's here today for all you do for our children.
Yes, thank you all for all of your hard work. We know that, you know, in today's climate, things are more challenging than they have been in the past. So we do appreciate all the hard work that you guys continue to do, especially in today's climate. So thank you all for, you know, just the tremendous work that you've all.
Oh, take care.
Be well.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Arnaldo.
Thanks so much, Celia, for inviting us. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Next month
Thank
for
you.
our meeting. Take care.
Yes. You
Okay.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.